Welcome everybody to another shocking crime news episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. That's right, I got some stories that's gonna blow your mind. As a matter of fact, one of them is about that inmate that went viral for sleeping with the female CO over there in the UK. Yeah, you ain't gonna believe what happened to him in visitation. Not to mention the home improvement star got hemmed up again. We'll speak about it a little bit. No body cam footage yet. But I did let somebody know that specializes in getting body cam footage, so hopefully he gets it and we can react to it in the future. Either way, I got a few other stories to talk about as well, so let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you want to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, so for the first story with a sad heart, man, I bring this one y'all's way. Zachery Ty Bryan was hemmed up once again. And it wasn't for a DUI this time. It says former home improvement star Zachery Ty Bryan, who was arrested last week in Myrtle Beach on a domestic violence charge, allegedly choked and punched the woman he lived with. Bryan, 43, was charged with second-degree domestic violence. He was booked into the J. Rubin Long Detention Center and released the following day on a $10,000 bond. Man, I tell you what, he stays getting bonds, doesn't he? But those are some pretty bad charges to be going into lockup with. If he's found guilty, gets a little jail time. I mean, we heard some of the nightmares coming from the South Carolina prison system. And their jails, man. You can get got real quick in there. But either way, it says Myrtle Beach police responded to Monarch Drive on New Year's Day. Picture that, man. Not a great way to start off the year. The woman who shares children with Bryan told officers that Bryan had choked her and punched her in the face multiple times. She had bruising and swelling on the right side of her face. Officers then spoke with Bryan, who said that the woman got into an argument about her drinking. Bryan said that he tried taking the bottle from her and she refused and flailed back and forth. Bryan has had multiple run-ins with the law in the past year. Yes, he has. We've been covering just about all of them. I'll try to keep them linked up here so you can click them along the way, but he was arrested in October on suspicion of DUI for second time in 2024. Dashcam footage showed Bryan being taken into custody by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, where he told the trooper, "I'm sorry, I like to drink." Home Improvement aired for 8 seasons from 1991 until 1999 and starred Bryan, which played Brad Taylor, the troublemaker, and still causing trouble as you can see. Man, oh man, but you know what? Innocent until proven guilty, right? Who knows, he might come off scot-free, which one is it? Only time will tell, but these celebrities, y'all know, man, anything can go any which way with them. And like I said, hopefully we get that body cam footage soon, man. I'ma love reacting to that. Next up, have y'all heard what happened to Heather in Florida? You ain't gonna believe it. It says Heather Nelson, 29, a housekeeper, has been charged for allegedly assaulting an elderly woman at her home in Florida. She physically assaulted and robbed her 83-year-old employer after she was denied a $500 Christmas bonus that she requested for cleaning the woman's house on December 24th, the Brevard County Sheriff's Office said in a press release. How in the world did she assault an 83-year-old woman? You know, me personally, someone tells me I'm not getting a bonus, especially if they're 83, I'm gonna be a little mad, but I'm just gonna be walking away. Not assaulting nothing, man. You know, I might say something rude on my way out. Nothing too major, though. You know, something like, "Old bag, man, I needed that 500. I'm just playing, man. I got a dark sense of humor. It says after the victim said she didn't have enough money to provide a bonus, Nelson responded by physically wrenching the victim's checkbook from her hand, stealing a check from the checkbook and almost breaking the wrist of the elderly victim. Police said, man, oh man, she almost snapped that old lady's wrist. Trying to get that blank check, man. You ever seen that movie, Blank Check? Classic. That kid finds on the street, writes it for like $1 and actually cashes it. Man, he built that mansion, had to slide going out to his front yard. I gotta go watch that again. Anyways, if I were to guess, Nelson probably seen that movie too, but it didn't end the same way. It says that Nelson then proceeded to write herself a stolen check for $1,400. And stole the victim's credit card to pay her rent and other purchases that were later discovered by authorities. Police arrested Nelson on January 7th. Nelson now faces numerous charges, police said, including robbery, geez, you know, that's like 20 to life in some states, aggravated battery on a person over the age of 65, man, that's bad paperwork all day long. Grand theft, forgery, uttering and forged instrument, criminal use of personal identification, and fraudulent use of a credit card. Man, oh man, went from expecting $500 bonus to expecting like 6 felonies. I don't know how many that was, but quite a bit. And they are serious, not to mention that lady's age. Man, Heather Nelson, 29, you might not get out till there's 16 doors on a microwave. I'm just playing. She ain't got no record, man. You know, a judge might take it easy on her. Now let's hop into our first class seats and travel down to the UK. This story absolutely blew my mind. You know how hard that can be. I've heard so many damn things about prison, it's unreal, but nothing like this. It says, I'm not even about to try to pronounce this guy's name, but Linton, 36, was targeted by a fellow prisoner while holding his 3-month-old child during a visit from his girlfriend at Swaleside Prison. And this is the same inmate who filmed himself having sex with a married prison officer. Linton was moved to the jail following the sex tape scandal. Now on December 18th, it says Linton was attacked by another inmate in the visiting area, causing him to fall on top of the little baby he was holding. The infant was found to have a fractured skull. Can you believe that? I mean, I don't think you understand. A lot of guys, they deal with principles. So let's say you're holding a baby or something. They won't shoot you on the streets because you got a baby in your hand. Or if you're in prison, they ain't gonna attack you because you got a baby in your hand. Obviously, this guy didn't give 2 flying f***s. He didn't deal with no principle, no respect, nothing. He went and got him at any given chance he could. But to close out the article, it says a suspect has been identified, but no arrests have been made yet. The mother of the child was left distressed after witnessing the unexpected attack. Gotta be careful in the visitations, man. Especially if your husband or whatever's connected. You know he's in the mix of things. Yeah, you gotta keep your head on a swivel at all times. Obviously, even when you're holding a baby. The baby suffered a fractured skull, but has since been discharged from the hospital. Thank God for that, right? Could have been a lot worse. Now, what was the attack over? I have no idea. Maybe they'll break it down later on down the road. Maybe it had something to do with the video. I have no idea. But moving on to the next story, this one's wild as well. For this one, we're traveling right around the corner from my house, Hamilton County, Tennessee. I'm pretty sure that's like the Chattanooga area, unless it's like a different Hamilton County. Either way, I told y'all like 3 or 4 videos. I think we were covering a different story, and I said you gotta be careful which houses you turn around in. On the back roads of Tennessee, man, they could turn into some wrong turn stuff up there in the Appalachians or possibly Hamilton County. It says a Tennessee man is facing charges after he allegedly opened fire on a family that was sledding in the snow, purporting that the family was on his property. Benjamin Cook is facing 6 counts of aggravated assault in connection with the shooting, according to the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Additional charges could be filed pending the outcome of the investigation. But man, Benjamin Cook looks like a poodle on its last leg. One of those pets you see at your friend's house, like, damn, when's he gonna go? Things like a walking corpse, was it about 30? Either way, I seen this guy walking at me in the middle of the night. I'm gonna be a little worried. One eyeball shimmering. The sheriff's office said that the deputies responded to the 6300 block of Stony River Drive on Friday, following a report that a man was shooting at a family of 6 playing outside in the snow. Preliminary information from the scene showed that the parents and their 4 children walked down the street to go sledding down a hill in their neighborhood, deputies said. And man, let me just say, this hill does look mighty nice. If I lived next to that puppy, man, whether it was my property or not, I'm taking a ride. I'm just playing. Not really, but. At 11 a.m., the family said that they heard gunshots coming from the direction of the house down the hill near Birchwood Pike. The mother said that she observed snow fly up from the ground just a couple of feet from her 1-year-old son. 2 parents immediately looked into the direction of where the shots were coming from and yelled at the man, later identified as Cook, to stop shooting. The man claimed the family was on his property, but the family responded that they were not on his property. I wouldn't have even responded at all if someone's shooting saying get off his property, no questions asked. I'm dipping. Running so fast I'm going to have to double back to go pick up the kids. I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing once again. I would have gotten all of them first for sure. But anyways, the family then gathered their belongings and went home before reporting the incident to authorities. Deputies responded to the shooter's house and spoke to Cook. They also obtained pictures from a neighbor showing Cook in the matching clothing walking through the woods, carrying a black rifle slung across his back. A search warrant was executed at Cook's home where several rifles were found inside. So let that be a warning to anybody wanting to go sledding down that perfect hill. Might not have too many issues out in the city, but in the back roads, man, you might get shot at. Just be careful. And you know, this really wasn't even a back road, to be honest. But still, just goes to show you these days, nobody likes anybody walking on their property, even if they're wrong about their property line a bit. If he's found guilty for doing this stuff, I'm here to tell you, he's probably going to be seen the rest of his life in prison. 20 years minimal. And his age, he looked like he was pushing 60 something, maybe 70, you know, that's like a death sentence. In the courts, you know, we've seen many cases where they don't care about your age. You commit the crime, you get sentenced accordingly. That means you end up dying in there, so be it. Now, last but not least, we're traveling down to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And a lot of people don't understand, man, it can get pretty treacherous out there. But it says a teenage girl who pleaded guilty in the connection to the beating death of an elderly man in Washington, D.C. testified in court this week, as two other young girls still face first-degree murder charges for their alleged roles in the 2023 killing, according to the multiple news reports. 5 girls between the ages of 12 and 15 allegedly beat 64-year-old Reggie Brown to death in an alley on October 17, 2023. The identities of the girls have not been made public, probably because they're so young. You know, all that juvenile stuff starts getting sealed up. But it says when officers responded to the incident, Brown was pronounced dead at the scene, and the autopsy performed by the chief medical examiner later showed he had sustained blunt force trauma consistent with the homicide. The attack was reportedly caught on video and has been played in the D.C. Superior Court, as 2 of the girls currently stand trial on first-degree murder charges. Previously reported that the 1-minute-long clip showed 5 girls chasing Brown into an alley in the northwest neighborhood of the city, pulling him down off a chain-link fence he was attempting to climb, and stomped on his head. They then proceeded to pull down his pants and take off his belt and beat him with it. One of the girls in the video could be heard cheering, "He's leaking," referring to Brown's head bleeding. So, you know, a lot of people, they might assault someone, see that they're bleeding, like, oh my God, I used too much force, I need to get the hell out of here. Not these girls, man, they were cheering that he was bleeding. Look, I got 4 daughters, so this is just blowing my mind. Can't even comprehend them doing something like this, man, let alone anyone else. But the 15-year-old girl, who already accepted a plea deal for her role in the killing, testified in court speaking about the moments that led up to the killing. The teen said in court that she and her friends were hanging out at the park before the group decided they needed to find someone to beat up. The prosecutor asked why, and the 15-year-old said, "Because we were bored." The girl who testified was sentenced last week to just 3 years of secure detention after pleading guilty to a lesser charge, probably because of her testimony and her age. A second teen has also pled guilty for their role in the case, but has yet to be sentenced. During previous court proceedings, homicide detective Harry Singleton testified that Brown was disabled. He had a mental health issue, had only 2 fingers on each hand, and already had a metal plate in his head. Remember, the girls yoked him off the fence, and one of the first things they did was stomp on his head, and he started leaking. But this is the very most important, debatable part of it all. If the 2 girls on trial are found guilty, they face a maximum sentence of a secure detention until they turn just 21. At which time they could be released. Ladies and gentlemen, juvenile or not, 12 to 15, you know what you're doing. Should they be held accountable 100% for the death of this man? Or should they get the justice's slap on the wrist? Let me know in the comment section below, ladies and gentlemen. To me, hell no. They did that to my dad, they gotta pay. Smokeville, USA. And of course, my condolences go out to all the families affected by the stories I brought to you today. Very, very dark world we live in sometimes. But that's a wrap of the crime news of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed. Stay tuned. I got a couple more stories I'd like to bring to your attention within the next day or so. Not to mention my classic montage reaction to inmates in prison. And of course, people not getting along in public. All this stuff is on its way. Remember, if you happen to be new, we hit every single avenue of the crime and justice department. Starting from the streets all the way to the cell block. So once again, if that's what you're into, tap that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave. And as always, until the next time, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.